We have a very special guest here today. Please welcome Bill Rogers, the Chairman and CEO of Truist Financial Corporation. Hi, Bill. Welcome to the Purpose Power Summit.
Hey, Scott. How are you? Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this again this year.
It's a pleasure. Last time we met, you talked about how purpose was the first and most important strategy when you decide to merge BB&T and SunTrust. And now we're here to talk about how you're activating purpose. And I think there's no better place to start than innovation, which of course is so important in today's financial sector. Could you talk a little bit about how you're innovating in technology, but also in products and services? And also, how is that being guided by your purpose?
Yeah, I think you the way you asked the question is actually really important. We started this merger with a foundation of purpose. I mean, we really wanted to be the first large-scale merger that was built on a foundation of purpose. And then the evolution, and I think you used the exact word is, and I use it when talking about it, is now how do you activate that purpose? How do you put that purpose into action? What does it mean for clients? What does it mean for teammates? What does it mean for all of our stakeholders? And then you cloud that, and then how does innovation play a role in that? I'm actually today sitting in our Innovation and Technology Center in Charlotte. So it's timely and hopefully a visual representation of what we're doing from an innovation standpoint. And in this facility, we want to innovate across all of our company, but specifically in this facility, we've got design teams, we have journey rooms, we have innovators and residents. I mean, we've got sort of a whole scope of things that we do, from not only active everyday work, but also innovative and forward-leaning work that we do in one place. So innovation, really significant role in purpose, and they're inextricably linked. I mean, they are together. And if you go into all of these journey rooms, I mean, it'll start with purpose. There'll be the journey room itself will be named for a value, for example, so people know that they're in a room that has a value orientation to it. On the walls will be sort of the what we're trying to accomplish for clients. Our purpose is to inspire and build better lives and communities. So that'll be front and center for everybody when we're thinking about, are we innovating? Are we innovating for a purpose? Are we innovating in ways that'll benefit clients? Are we innovating in ways that make a better life for clients? So it's not, are we going to make more money? Are we going to put a new product in place? Does it invoke and is it intentional about creating a better life for a client? And then that better life for that client creates better lives for our community. So it all sort of starts and links and is connected to purpose.
It looks spectacular there, I have to say. Very inspiring. And I love the fact that the purpose is guiding the innovators as they're thinking about new types of products and services. That's wonderful. When you think about your teams at the Innovation Center, how are they innovating while they're activating the Truist purpose? Have you examples that you are seeing coming to life now already through the purpose?
Yeah, we have examples big and small, and I think that's what's important, because people tend to think that innovation is one thing and it's everything. It's sort of in how you do your business, and is innovation and purpose, are they part of the foundational part of what we do? So if I sort of roll back a little bit and think about sort of large scale activating our purpose and foundational, is the role we played in the PPP program, and if we started that process and we said, gosh, if we really want to make a difference for our communities, and this is a program that's available to save millions of jobs in our communities, then we have to figure out a way to participate at a level that's above anything we've ever done. So we literally took approximately 5,000 teammates off of their normal activity, brought them in this process. We created literally overnight sort of an onboarding portal. So there's where the innovation comes in. There's where the team's working 24/7 to say, okay, how do we do this? Why are we working with this intensity? Is because we want to be a large participant in this program. We want to do it right. We want to really use this as an advantage to serve our community. So that's where innovation and purpose get really linked. The other is, again, on a large scale, is we're getting ready to roll out later this year a product called Truist One. We did a lot of research about those that are underbanked, out of the banking system. What are the things that clients really, really want to make sure that they accomplish? And one of the things they want to make sure they accomplish is they can get into the banking system, they can have an account that meets their needs, they can transact, and they can avoid fees, specifically overdraft fees. And so we started with this process from the client backwards, and we created a product called Truist One, which has a couple of really interesting features. One is it has a $100 buffer. And we did a lot of research and we said, what captures the most number of clients? So in the high 90 percentile of clients, what is the dollar amount which they overdraft? And it was generally under $100. So we said, let's create that buffer. So automatically the things that they do, the way that they transact will be caught appropriately in that net. And then the second thing we've said is, okay, they sometimes have one-time emergency needs. We all have seen these stats that clients have, Americans, high percent, as much as 50% don't have $400 saved for an emergency. So we created a $750 buffer sort of for those emergency needs. So think about that as that quick, short-term loan as part of that. Roll all up this into Truist One. So again, that's where the purpose, start from the client backwards, what's important to the client, how do we allow them not to just avoid fees? That's actually sort of easy. You avoid fees by returning the payment. But how do we make sure that they can live their lives, that they can make the daycare payment, they can make the payments that are their rent payment, they can make the things that are important to them and avoid overdraft fees? Again, so innovation, purpose, all designed at the top level in a product capability.
So, you've given a great example of how purpose can help manage through crisis, of course, during COVID. You've talked about how it's helping to drive innovation. What about relational in terms of customer experience? How are you thinking about purpose and customer experience?
Well, also in this Innovation Technology Center at any one time, if you go into one of our gym rooms, we're going to see the client represented either physically, so we'll bring clients in, make sure they're part of this process, or virtually, or metaphorically, any way that the client's view is represented. So we'll do a lot of significant research, but also bring clients in specifically and say, gosh, how does this sound? Does this meet your need? Is this the way that you may think? Additionally, here in this center, which has been a part of the design, we actually have a care center here in our technology center. So we can go, I could leave this chair, walk over, put some headphones on and listen to actually what clients are calling about. What are they talking about? What are the issues that they're facing? So our teammates have a chance to sort of hear this, really directly, real time, and put it into the design feature of what we're doing every day. So the building from the client backwards, I think that's the cornerstone of innovation, and particularly in financial services, is starting with that client and then working backwards. I think historically, we'd all work from our own products and our own capabilities forwards. We have these systems, we have these physical locations, we have these products and capabilities. How do we distribute them? And the redesign, the way of thinking that upside down is, what does the client want? What does the client need? What are the most important things in their lives? How do we make their lives better? And then work backwards from there in our design feature. And that's the cornerstone of what we're trying to accomplish here.
That's brilliant. It's less about product push, but rather understanding, listening to the problems, building around and designing around the human need. That's a great benefit.
100%. And really what makes their life better. That's the most important part.
Another benefit of purpose is motivational. And, we're in this time now where we're coming out of COVID and many CEOs are trying to figure out how do they bring their teammates back to the office. And recently I read this really quite inspiring article in LinkedIn that you wrote around intentional flexibility. What does that have to do with you as a leader and as you think through this difficult challenge of bringing folks back? And also, how do you think about that as it relates to your teammates? How do you use purpose in order to motivate them to come back?
Yeah, I think it's a multifaceted question. If you allow me to sort of take a couple of different tributaries, I think as a starting framework, I think people want to work for companies that stand for something, and people want to do business with companies that stand for something. I think that's sort of foundational. So we sort of start with that as we have a purpose. What we do is really important. Everybody plays a role in that. Every role is clear. We try to make it clear. that the work I do is important. The work I do does build better lives and communities, and here's how that connection's made. So we sort of start with that as a really important framework. Then we've asked all of our teammates to talk about their own personal purpose. What's your purpose? Why are you here? I mean, what do you want to achieve in your life? And it's been a really incredibly fun process, and I think really important, particularly during the pandemic and as we come out of the pandemic, as people are reorienting and they're really thinking about, where do I fit? I've had a chance to sort of sit back and reevaluate my life from almost every perspective, and putting that in the context of their personal purpose, I think is really foundational to that. So we ask teammates to talk about their own personal purpose. Not everyone has to say something, but we want them to really think through it. I've got a couple of great examples of being with teammates and having them elaborate. And what invariably happens is their personal purpose connects with the company's purpose, almost always. I mean, that Venn diagram sometimes sits right on top of each other. Sometimes it connects in different ways. And when that connects, that's sort of where the magic happens. I mean, that's where the proverbial flywheel, I think, really, really starts to go. Now I'm going to get to answer your original question on intentional flexibility. So all those are in that context of then how do we want to work together? And what do we want to accomplish when we're together? And, and I'll admit this myself. I mean, I came from a very traditional background of how I, measured work, how I measured output of work, what I consider the hallmarks and the manifestations of what work is. And I had to just go way back and step back and say, wait a minute, those are outdated. I don't know that they apply anymore. If work starts from what's purposeful work, then we start from flexibility. We ask teammates, what does flexibility mean? Everybody has a different definition of flexibility. And what we learned in COVID, and particularly think about our company, I mean, we did the largest bank merger in the last 15 years virtually. So we understand that there's a capability to work differently. So when we talk about intentional flexibility, it says when we're together, and we want to be together because this culture, this purpose, this mentorship, this apprenticeship model, all the things that are foundational to a company, they're important to us. So when we're together, we want to be intentional. We want to have a reason to be together. When we're together, we want to talk about the things that are really important. We want to not leave the things like apprenticeship and mentorship to chance. We want to be intentional about that. So that creates the opportunity to have flexibility around that. So we've not been dogmatic about it means this, it means 5 days or 4 days, or these are the specific times, but it does mean that we are going to be intentional. And when your group's together, it's going to be really focused. We're going to do the things that are really important. You're going to want to be there for that because your career is going to blossom from that. You're going to personally develop from that, and while allowing you some flexibility to live your life. So it's a leadership-driven model, in fairness, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. Every unit has different needs. And we try to make sure that we incorporate as much of the individual needs, but as well as the corporate needs and what we want to accomplish.
I love the thought of personal purpose. Do you yourself use your own personal purpose to motivate you as you think through managing, what is one of the largest financial institutions in the country? And we are having Ranji Gulati, who's a professor at the Harvard Business School and an expert at purpose and employees. And he said he has a point of view that empathy in the leadership, the top of the organization, is crucial when organizations are not just simply developing a purpose, but activating it. Right. Do you feel like clearly you have strong empathy, but where does it come from?
Well, empathy has to be foundational, and care is one of our important values. So we talk about acts of care, the things that we do. I talk about my own personal purpose. I try to make it simple. People have really long purpose statements, which is fantastic. I mean, they've been so thoughtful and they've been so exacting, which is just great. I tried to make mine a little more simple, and it's to take care of my corner. And because I think everyone has a corner. Your corner could be your family, could be your business unit, could be your church, could be your synagogue, could be your neighborhood. It could be anything. It could be your branch, but everyone has a corner. And the concept is if I take care of my corner, in other words, if my corner is better because I was there, my positive influence made that corner work more effectively, made that corner more caring. I led with empathy. It could be small things. It could be pick up the trash. It could be big things. Make sure that it's inclusive and everyone in my corner feels welcomed. So it's a pretty broad definition of taking care of your corner, but the concept is everybody has a corner. And imagine a world where everyone took care of their corner, what that would look like. That means the four corners of the block would be better. That means every block in the community would be better if everyone sort of had that, core philosophy. So that's where I start from. And I think it fits sort of perfectly in my own personal Venn diagram of the inspire and build better lives and communities fits perfectly with take care of your corner.
So just this conversation could go on for a long time. Unfortunately, we have one final question I have for you.
Okay, great.
Which is, people talk about purpose and how important it is, but a lot of people are skeptical about it, the benefit from a performance perspective. How is purpose, in your perspective, how is purpose helping you drive performance on an organizational level?
Yeah, and I do realize that they're skeptics. But I think performance, and this is part of that concept of where you started with your first question of activating purpose, because purpose and performance, in my mind, are inextricably linked. And we should be overt about that link. We shouldn't say, gosh, we do these things at work and then purpose is the thing that we do in the community. I think that's the risk that people talk about. No, purpose is the thing we do every day. It's the work we do every day. And if we do more of it, if we have a focus, if we're gonna have an opportunity to make more better lives, in our definition, and we can do that more frequently, then that's where the performance comes in. So the more lives that we impact, the better those lives are, the more our performance from a company improves, and then that's a cycle, and we continue to have that dialogue. So it's so important, I think, to bring the purpose of the work every day. Literally everything we do every day is around purpose. It's not something separate. I'm going to do purpose, as I said before, and then come back and do my work. It's linked. And if I do more of it, and to me, that's the motivating factor. I mean, if I work a little bit harder, if I'm a little more effective in the things that I do, then I get to impact more people and I get to have a more positive impact on the community. And we want teammates to have that feeling. And if that's in there, the performance will come. The performance will be the absolute result of that. And then the more we perform, the more we can invest in our purpose strategy. So I just think they're inextricably linked, and I think it's critical to actually talk about them together and not de-link them.
Bill Rogers, Chairman, CEO of Truist Financial Corporation, thank you so much for being here today. Wonderful and very enlightening.
And Scott, thank you for your purposeful leadership.
Thank you so much.